Good morning, kindergarten. So, as we read our book, Be a Friend to Trees, we learned a lot about the ways that living things like people and animals depend on trees to meet their needs. So, we know that living things have three basic needs they need food, water, and air. But they also have a few more that we're going to talk about today and that we heard about in our story. So today, we're going to use something called a graphic organizer. That's going to help us keep our thoughts together and collected all in one place so it's really easy to write when we go to answer our question about living things that depend on trees to meet their needs. So here are the headings for the graphic organizer that we'll use. So first we have what the tree provides. We'll write that here. Next we have what living things depend on the trees for. Lastly, we'll put a picture of what the tree provides and what the living things depend on the tree for. Okay, let's get started. I'll go first. The first thing that trees provide is wood. Now, living things depend on trees for wood for furniture, pencils, chairs, houses, and more. They also depend on trees to provide wood for paper and for cardboard. So I'll put a picture of a chair and some paper here to show that trees provide wood and that living things like people depend on trees to give us wood for chairs and for paper. We know another thing that trees provide is sap. Living things depend on the trees for sap that is made into syrup, like maple syrup you put on your pancakes, chewing gum, soap to wash your hands, and rubber to maybe make some of your toys or the tires you see on cars. So I've put the word sap, I've put what the living things depend on the trees for, and I put a picture of some maple syrup and somebody blowing a bubble with some gum to help us remember what the living things depend on the tree to make sap for. Now, let's see if you can help me with the next one. Look at the picture in the bottom row and the word all the way on the left of the bottom row. What do you think trees provide in this row? Yes, food. Wow, good job, Kipsters. So we know that trees provide food, so I'll write down that living things depend on trees for people eat fruits, nuts, and chocolate from trees. Also, animals eat the leaves, twigs, buds, bark, and seeds from trees. So we know all the different kinds of food that they're depending on the trees for. I also put a picture of an acorn because I remember in our story the squirrels got their food from the acorns that grew on the trees. Okay, so one more thing that we know trees provide is shelter. Animals build homes in trees, so animals rely or depend on trees for their homes. Trees also protect animals. So I drew a picture of a bird's nest to go with shelter because that is the bird's shelter. That's their home where they live in the tree. Can you think of another thing that trees provide? Think, think, think. Yes, trees provide water. So, tree roots help keep water underground. And just like we read in our text, we know that people bring that water up from the ground with wells and rely or depend on that water to drink. So, living things depend on trees for water, and the tree roots help keep the water underground. So, I have a picture of some tree roots here to remind me that that's where the water comes from. Notice how all of my pictures match what the living thing depends on the tree for. Okay, last one. Let's think, what is the last thing we learned about that living things depend on trees for? Yes, air. We know that trees give us clean air to breathe. So I put a nose to show that we're breathing. People are breathing the air that trees provide us. Wow, kindergarten, we went through all of the things that trees provide for us. Wood, sap, food, shelter, water, and air. Those were all of the things that we learned about in our book, Be a Friend to Trees. We know that living things depend on trees for lots of different things. So today, it's your job to choose one thing that living things depend on trees for and write about it. Get your pencil and get your paper. I want you to draw a picture and write at least one sentence about one thing living things depend on trees for to meet their needs. It should be something from this list that we just made. So maybe pause your video here and choose what you want to write about. You can talk like a turtle to sound out words you don't know as you're writing your sentence. You might also want to use an alphabet chart. You can also use this chart, this graphic organizer that we just made. You can copy words that you might not know how to write. I'm so excited to see your pictures of your writing today. Make sure you text a picture to your teachers so you can get in our shout out video. Remember, today we're drawing a picture and writing at least one sentence about one thing living things depend on trees for. Good luck, kindergarten.